Hey, everybody, welcome to the Bayou Ballers podcast. We are making history today. I am Tay. They call me Tay Visuals, my boy Trey, and this is our first time going live, and we got some big news. But before we get into all of that, how you doing today, brother?
Doing good, brother. It's Friday, so no complaints. Get
Mhm.
to enjoy the weekend, bro. Been a long week, but been all good. What about yourself?
I'm doing good, brother. Just dropped the baby off to do the pod. I almost kind of forgot about it. Before you text me, I was uploading my other pod. And I was like, dang, I forgot. I was like, man, I gotta get my baby out of here. She ain't at the age where she can still be here. Yeah. And as
Yeah,
if y'all watched the last show, I had my dogs freely out, and y'all probably heard a couple barks because I need a doe in my studio. That's the only thing I'm missing, y'all. But we gonna get into some good news on this Friday. Like we said, man, we got some history making today. This is our first live show. We might gotta start doing this more often. And when we
yeah,
have breaking news
hell yeah.
like this, our hometown, the New Orleans Pelicans, has just traded for DeJounte Murray, and they gave away Larry Nance, Dyson Daniels, and 2 first-round picks. And we were a little critical for them
Yeah.
keeping that Lakers pick, and they used this pick to get Murray, and they used a Milwaukee pick from the Drew Holiday trade. So a lot of people saying that Atlanta got fleeced. Do you think this is fair value? Basically, when Mikal Bridges just got 5 first-round picks back.
I think it's fair value.
Uh-huh.
Especially when it wasn't like DeJounte was asking for a trade. We knew the Hawks wanted to kind of move on, get
Mhm.
started, start a rebuild. And I mean, he's a number 2, maybe supposed to be a 3 on a championship level team. I think that's
Mhm.
a reasonable price. You give up a role player in Larry Nance, a role player in Dyson Daniels, who's a young defender in his own right, and you give up 2 first-round picks. I think that's value. Like, keep in
Mhm.
mind, the Hawks didn't give away 5 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray.
Mhm.
And depreciation exists
It
in sports
does.
business too, right? So, like, you weren't going to get more for him. So you're getting probably a veteran player that's really good to have, and maybe a
Mhm.
young guard that can maybe reinvent himself there. Because he was playing well before he got injured last year with the Pelicans. So now he may have a more prominent role with the
Mhm.
Hawks. And he got 2 first-round picks. And you're a rebuilding team. So
Right. Use them.
it works.
Facts. I agree. I agree with your statement. I think it's pretty fair value because I think the Knicks overpaid for Mikal
Mhm.
Bridges. I said that in the last pod we had, but
Yeah.
I'm not mad. The Hawks have to offload Murray Dale kicks in next
Yeah.
year, so they trying to offload salary, and they're an expensive team. Like, as we talked about the Hawks a lot last episode with Trey Young and DeJounte. So they have a log jam there forward. So, and I know a lot of people was talking about
Mhm.
the PELS not giving up Ingram. The Hawks really have no need for Ingram with their forward.
True.
With Hunter, Sadiq Bey, Jalen Johnson coming into his own, and they just number 1 pick. Zachariah. I can't really.
Zachary Richardson.
Yeah, Zachary Richardson. So he's a forward as well too. So they have no need for Brandon Ingram.
Right.
Looks like the Pelicans got other plans for him, maybe in another trade where they could get a big because Valachunas is a free agent. Larry Nash just got traded. They really have that down there now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do. I'm hoping they use Brandon Ingram to get a reliable big, and also I don't want to say because Alvarado is a great backup point guard. He
Mhm.
plays his role well. He's an energizer buddy. But somebody I don't know, maybe a more pass first guard because Murray, Alvarado, and CJ they're great in their own right, but I still think they can use some more playmaking
Yeah.
from that position. I know you're very big on
Yeah.
Murray. What do you think about the Brandon Ingram not leaving? Because
Well,
it doesn't look like
David,
they're giving him the max contract
well,
that he
yeah,
wants.
and David Griffin kind of mentioned that, hey, Brandon really wants to be a part of what we're doing here. We want him here as well. And they might be working on something.
Mhm.
Maybe Brandon Ingram is kind of getting that self-awareness and saying, hey, you know what? I'll take less to come back and whatever less means for them. Like we saw OG take less to return from the Knicks, even though he still got paid a lot of money. He
Right.
took less to return when he got max offers from other places. Or
Mhm.
you just say, hey, look, let's figure out if DeJounte Murray, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Ingram can play together. Like, there's no rush for the Pelicans to have to extend Brandon Ingram. And
Mhm.
maybe you kind of want him to boost up his trade value a little bit. Or
'Cause
you
he's
kind of
been
just say, okay,
injured.
you know what? I might extend you now, or we can trade you at the deadline type of deal
Mhm.
and maybe recoup some picks or something like that. So there's a lot. And what I really like about it is, a lot of people saying they want to trade Young. And I'm like, he would be good from a Zion Williamson standpoint, but
Mhm.
you can't start him and CJ together.
Yeah,
Whereas I
it's
think,
most likely CJ would have been going because they would
right,
have needed
I would
his
assume
salary to
so.
match Trey, because Trey makes a big salary, so they
Yeah,
would have needed him Ingram salary to match him, and the Hawks probably would have wanted Trey or Herb in that deal, which the
I
Pelicans
agree.
are not
I
really
agree.
willing to give up.
Yeah, and then with DeJounte, his first full year with the
Mhm.
Spurs, like being able to say, like, hey, this is your team. He was the fourth in the league in assists. So
Mhm.
I think if you tell him, hey, like, we want you, I think he really wants to be more of a point guard. I think one of the reasons
Mhm.
why the Hawks traded for him, not just for the defensive standpoint, but to
To
have a
get
guy you
Trey
can still
off
run
ball.
offense through.
Mhm.
And yeah, right, get Trey off the ball. And so now maybe you can put CJ more in a role where he's most comfortable
Mhm.
being kind of off ball, not having to be on
Secondary
ball as much.
playmaker. Mhm.
And now you got a guy who, like I said, has shown the ability to make plays for others. That year he was fourth in assists, also made the All-Star team.
Mhm.
So, got a guy, got a loud threat like Zion Williamson, got kind of a mid-range assassin in Brandon Ingram, probably a guy who could really benefit from a
Mhm.
point guard, because I don't think he has his
He takes a
offensive
lot
game
of tough
hasn't grown.
shots.
Right. His
Ingram
offensive
takes
game
a lot of
hasn't
tough
grown
shots.
enough.
Mhm.
Whereas Zion, he doesn't really need a point guard, but
Yeah.
it's just nice to give him easier buckets. But when he's healthy, he can do what he can do by himself.
Point
So
point Zion exists. He existed
he
last
does.
year. I want to say this. I know you my point on the Pelicans is I believe they should trade Ingram and let Herb and Trey fill out those wing spots and play
Mm,
together. Let those
I
guys
agree.
strive and take steps. You got DeJounte,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be tough if you keep Ingram because one of those guys is gonna be on the bench. And Trey flourished when Ingram was injured.
Mhm.
He flourished. His points went up, rebounds, everything went up when Ingram
Yeah.
was hurt. So I'm looking at the lineup. How you gonna juggle? You got DeJounte. Are you gonna
Yeah.
start CJ, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Ingram? They have no big. Zion's
They
not gonna
don't.
play center.
They drafted a big, but he's still a little raw. So they don't really have like a consistent person.
Right. So they need to address the big, whether it's through an Ingram
Yeah.
trade or through free agency, which is they're pretty strapped.
Yeah.
I think this is unless they make a trade around the margins, they grab an Andre Drummond type guy. He's a
Yeah.
free agent, maybe on a vet minimum, something like that. But I'm thinking Ingram won't be on the team starting the
I
first
agree.
game of the season. So, but that was some breaking news, you guys. If
Yeah.
y'all watching this, please retweet it. Like, as y'all know, this is our
Yeah.
first live show. Please retweet it. Like, we got 5 people here. We getting it up there, bro.
Yeah,
Check us
man.
out.
Yeah. And look, shout out to David Griff. I was giving him a hard time,
Uh-huh.
but he pulled the trigger in his own right. Is it the Trey Young that everybody
Right.
was clamoring for? No. But you got yourself a really good player, a player that fits within the age timeline too
Mhm.
of what you're trying to do. So I mean, we'll see how it works. We'll see how it pans out. I got to go on my 2K account and not make the trade official because I've been doing that after every trade going. But at
Hey,
this point, I'm just gonna have to get the new game because they got rookies and stuff that's in the league
right.
now that wasn't on my thing. So they
Right.
got my
So
money, dog.
and I gotta second that because I criticized I said on the last show I didn't think the Pelicans, even though we was really talking about kind of Trey Young, we threw Murray in there a little bit too. I didn't think they would pull a trigger on a trade like this because they don't have the history of doing that.
Yeah,
But kudos to them, they did it. They got an impact player. He should really improve the team in a good way. So I'm proud of y'all. I threw on my NOLA shirt for y'all. I got this at the playing game when they played the Lakers. And we got 11 people in here, man. Keep coming in here. We love it. Y'all keep coming.
yeah.
Watch
Make
it.
sure y'all retweet this too, man.
Yes. But we gonna get to the draft thoughts, winners and losers. Um, and this draft was a lot of people say one of the most boring drafts ever, outside of Bronny James at 55. They say the 55 pick gonna be the most memorable moment. But what were
Yeah.
your thoughts on the draft? Some I guess a brief, quick winners and losers of who you think. And what did you think of your Spurs first? Because you're a
Well,
Spurs guy.
I think with the Spurs, man, I think it's still a long game in what
Mhm.
they're trying to do. Like sometimes we forget because I felt like when you saw the Spurs selected Rob Dillingham and then they
You
traded
wanted
him to
him?
the
Hold up.
T-Wolves,
Did you want him?
I would have loved him. But like sometimes you
It
forget that the trade happens before the pick. So
does.
they'd already agreed to trade the eighth pick to
Mhm.
Minnesota, and
For the
Minnesota just told him
2031.
who to draft, right?
Exactly.
And so, but he was a guy that like outright said he wanted to play with Wemby. He like, I would love to play with him. Like, I know how to give him the ball, like all this type of stuff.
And
But
saying that, before you get to you,
mhm,
everybody should say they want to play with Wemby.
right, for
If you're
sure.
playing, want to play
But
with
this
Wemby,
was
what's
him in
going on?
college. So like he's still in college, so we don't even know where
Right.
he's going yet. This early on, he like,
Mhm.
yeah, I've been like, because I think they asked him like, who has he been watching in the league so far? He was like, I'm watching Wemby. Like, I would love to play with him. So
Mhm.
a lot of the fan base was already kind of like, damn, like we hope we get him. But I think going in, they got their guy that they wanted in the first round,
Mhm.
Stephon Castle at number 4. And I think I mentioned on the last show they wanted Tijan Salon out of
Mhm.
France, and he ended up going 6 to Charlotte. So I
Mhm.
think when that happened, it was like, well, you know what, we can utilize this pick, get some draft capital, and in my heart of hearts, I think that's adding more picks to the treasure chest to go
Mhm.
after Trey Young and pair them
Yeah.
together.
I see
Because
you was
Stephon,
panicking on Twitter at first.
right, right,
I
and
had to send that tweet to you. Relax, my guy. Y'all just
right.
loading up a little bit more. Put
Hey,
more in the
hey,
chamber.
but and Stefan's 6'6", he wants to play point guard. I think he'll have his
Mhm.
opportunities to do that, but probably early on, I think they see him more as a combo guard. He'll have some
Mhm.
playmaking opportunities, but they want him to play somewhat off ball, be a slasher, set some good screens. Definitely on the defensive end, probably one of the best defensive players, if not the best in the
Mhm.
draft. I mean, the guy's getting comps to Drew Holiday from a defensive standpoint. So I'm
Definitely.
always gonna love that. And I'll mention his name now, but I'm gonna talk about him a little bit later. But Harrison Ingram
Mhm.
out of North Carolina, and also played, I think, his first 2
Second
years at
round pick, right?
Stanford.
Second round pick,
Second
right?
round pick. We
Uh-huh.
got him at 48, and I like him. I think he's somebody that can really make a difference on a team. Like he
Mhm.
has kind of that engine where he may impress a Coach Pop, and we got a draft and stash prospect, Juan Nunez, plays for
A true,
Spain.
true Spurs fan.
Like,
He
so,
mentioned a stash, a draft and
like,
stash player.
hey,
You
look,
are a true Spurs
kid,
fan to the core.
kid is 20 years old. I'm looking forward to watching him in the Olympics. He's going to be playing for the Spanish team in the Olympics
Mhm.
this year. So, kind of get a little bit more of a view on him. But from what I saw, like on film, lefty. So, Southpaw Nation, I'm always going to stand up for my guys.
Okay,
Uh,
Manu.
but great kind of pick and roll guy. So, he knows how to get guys involved in the pick and roll. And he can shoot fairly well from the 3-point line.
Mhm.
Kind of a big guard at 6'5". So, I think that's really good. So somebody, Spurs kind of like some of those tweeners, and I think
Mhm.
he may be a tweener. So a guy that probably coming in, he's going to be on ball a lot, but he can also probably go off ball, especially if he can improve his shooting ability. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna say this about the Spurs. I think y'all had some solid picks. Stephon Castle, I
mhm,
think he'll be able to come in and contribute very quickly on the defensive end.
yeah,
He needs to work on the offense a little bit more, work on that jump shot. Wimby is gonna need guys to stretch the floor.
yeah,
Um, because he just all around spacer. Wimby can score at every level. So he's gonna need guys to stretch the floor, 3 and D guys. But a winner I like was the guy who traded with y'all. We had this discussion when Minnesota
yeah,
lost to the Mavs, and I said they needed another scorer
yeah,
to take the pressure off. And a consistent scorer at the guard spot. Mike Conley's a good scorer. He's not too much. He's more the tail end of his career. But Rob Dillingham,
yeah,
I watched this guy. His clips was going viral like before he went to Kentucky and stuff like
yeah,
that. And he's just a pure scorer, like has the
yeah,
handle. He's one of the guys who's gonna rival Kyrie with handles. Like he's
Mhm.
gonna come in. Y'all gonna see Rob do some stuff, and he's kind of like he's so small. He's 160. He reminds you of like kind of like a Emmanuel Quickly type
Yeah.
guy, small, Bones Highland type body type, but he can score at every level. And
Yep.
Minnesota needed that, and I'm sure they thought they needed that because they traded
Mhm.
up for him, gave a 2031 first round pick away.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be big for them. Maybe even get some starts with Mike Conley taking some low management this year, but he's going to have to be at least neutral on the defensive end. He can't be just
Yeah.
one sided because he'll get played off the floor. But
Right.
I love what Minnesota did right there, and they cut some costs. They traded back a bunch of times in
Yeah.
first round and second round because you know they up against that second eight, but they got an expensive
Yeah.
team. So
But they
I like what they did.
Yeah, I agree. They especially the Rob pick, I had him as one of my winners as well, probably as the winner of the draft because you got a point guard of the future, a guy that can put points on the board. But I
Yep.
think the underrated thing about his game is his ability to make plays for others. He was one of
Yes.
the assist leaders for Kentucky last year, and I think what makes him good is his 3-point shooting ability and
He's some
already having a
twitchy, bro.
handle. It's kind of like you got to
Yes,
figure out what
like
you're gonna give up. And that Terrence Shannon pick was really big in my
mhm.
opinion because I think last show you were talking about McDaniels like, hey, is he going to grow
Right.
offensively? Well, shit, if he don't grow offensively, Terrence Shannon got it, and and so he's a guy that can come in that they
And
got in the
score,
late
fill it
first
up,
round
huh?
and come in and score and fill it up. He
Mhm.
can kind of play that 3-4. So if you kind of go to a small ball
Mhm.
lined up where you either have Cat at center or put Nas
Nas
at
Reed.
center coming on the bench, he can kind of play in those lineups. He's a 3-level scorer himself. Uh, Also, I added in the winning circle Washington. I think
Mhm.
anytime you come away with 3 first-round picks and you kind of get some guys like off the team, like a Denny Avaji, I
Denny
think is
Avdia. You ain't like
yeah,
him? You ain't like Denny Avdia?
I like them, but I felt like they know where they are as a team. He wasn't
They got
really
Malcolm
living up to
Brogdon in the
his
14th pick
yeah, and
and
I
an
think they're gonna
extra
probably
first
get
round for
something
him.
and I think they probably gonna end up getting something for Malcolm Brogdon too, because the trades and stuff aren't truly official until I think like July. So
He's
uh,
a Laker.
you think I can
He's
see
a
that?
Laker. With
I can see
DeJounte
that.
Murray going to the Pelicans, he's a Laker.
I can see that.
If Rob Pelinka is smart, he should be able to get Malcolm Brogdon for some
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, and he's got a reasonable
Some
contract
seconds.
too. That's the
Yeah,
thing
he
about
does.
Malcolm. Like, it's not like he's getting paid a whole bunch of money. Like, it's a
Right. Had a
reasonable
healthy
contract.
season in Portland,
But
fairly. But
yeah, but like, but I like what Washington did. Like, not only did they get picks, they think they made them count. Like, to me, they got one of the best players in the draft. And Alex Sarr, they got him at
they
number
will
2.
want to. That's the second pick. I would hope
Right,
they
but
have the
they
best
was dealing
draft.
with the whole like the he didn't work out with the Hawks and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't
But
know. I didn't know what that was. That
yeah,
was
they were
kind
able
of
to get
funny.
him. Yeah,
You
but they
go
were able
ahead.
to get him, Bub Carrington, who's like
Mhm.
a scoring machine from Pittsburgh, and then you got a shooter in Keyshawn George, who's also about 6'8", 6'9". Like
Mhm.
he grew. I think he was 5'9", probably when he first started high school. Now he's 6'9". So he
Damn, that's
said
like an
he's really
AD
starting
growth
to
spurt.
learn. He said he's still trying to learn his body.
Mhm.
So you got between him and I think it's Coloco is who they
Mhm.
drafted last year from France. Kind of two big wings that can play kind of that point guard, that lead guard position if needed.
Mhm.
He's a much better shooter.
And Tyus Jones is a
Bolo,
free
but
agent as well. So
and who's a free agent?
Tyus Jones, they
Oh
started point
yeah,
guard
I
last year.
figured he's gone. Yeah,
Mhm.
I figured he's gone in free
Yep.
agency.
So they have
That might be
somebody to fill
somebody.
right
Hey,
there.
you talked about the Pelicans backup position. Maybe
Mhm.
they try to post ties, but that was two of my winners. I think Minnesota, for a lot of reasons you said, I think they got two really good players that could
Yep. Who can play
help
this
now.
year?
Especially when you're a contending team. I don't think you should just kind of poo draft picks. Like
Right.
take that seriously. And I think they
You
got two
can't,
really good players.
especially when you're expensive. You need
Mhm.
to hit on your draft picks.
Right.
Is you could go out there and get role players, proven players, but they're more expensive.
Mhm.
But when you target a guy, you got some guy on your list. Clearly, Rod was on your list.
Yeah.
And he's a plug and play guy. With Mike Conley's gone. Mike Conley just got that extension this year, but they know he's at the end of his career. He can fill it. Come in with Mike Conley can teach him, show him the ropes of the NBA, how to be a professional. So I think
Mhm.
that's a good pick. Also, it would be right if we don't touch on the Bronny subject going around, man.
Yeah,
It's going around everywhere. So we're gonna touch on Bronny James getting picked second round, 55th pick to the Los Angeles Lakers. And this is a fire story because I'm looking at the pictures that LeBron was posting.
yeah,
Everybody posted like Bronny on the court when he just so damn small, and LeBron playing
yeah,
won a championship with the Heat. And a lot of these dudes about to be on the thing. Outside of all the nepotism stuff they talk
yeah.
about, is Bronny will be when he got drafted. What did you think of Rich Paul? The reports of Rich Paul calling teams saying he'll play Australia if y'all
Um,
draft
I think that was a smoke screen. I think that was supposed to make us think that Bronny had a market in the first place, and I,
him.
I truly don't think he did.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So you
I
don't think
think
he
if
would have got drafted at all?
no, I think if
Okay.
the Lakers don't pick him at 55, he goes undrafted. And
Okay.
while some might say, well, that's going to be embarrassing to Bronny, I don't think so. I think, say Bronny doesn't get drafted, he latches on to a summer league team. He still works his
Austin
behind
Reeves was
off.
undrafted.
Right. He still works his behind off the way he wants to, and
Mm-hmm.
he can make a name for himself. I think if anything, it would embarrass LeBron and Clutch in the sense of, we can touch on the nepotism thing because it was probably the first time where LeBron was very blatant about, like, I'm going to utilize everything in my power to make sure my son is in the league. And hey, that's fine. I think,
Mm-hmm.
as long as we can own it, we know what it is. Yes, it happens. But at the same time, I think we also weren't really focusing on who Bronny is as a young man, as a player. And
Mm-hmm.
he has some tools to be successful. Like I said, I still don't think he's ready to be an NBA player, but he's
We're gonna
here now.
find out.
We can't
Mm-hmm.
go back. So if he wasn't ready, he's got to be ready now. And I think the only unfair thing to him is that the target was always going to be on your back to a degree, being the son of LeBron James. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the way his coming into the league it's made it
Mm-hmm.
even larger for somebody who's a 55th overall pick.
Right.
Like, who, like, in years past, we don't care. Like, it's like, oh, we want to see them in the summer league. Maybe they look good. Like, you might fall in love with the 55th pick, and then you get mad when they cut him because it's like, I really like this player, but it's like, like, we didn't really
Right.
think this person was long term.
Right.
But
It's like a 6th round pick in the NFL or something.
yeah, but now you done put so much stock in it, and now knowing that maybe one of the greatest player of our game had a lot to do with that,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to just have some unfair expectations. I think they're going to treat him like he was drafted top 5.
I'm gonna say
That's
this.
not fair.
I'm gonna say this on that. I think I disagree with that point. I think everybody expectations for Brody is not. It's the same. Nobody's saying he's gonna come out,
Yeah,
play 15 minutes. Most people, we know he's not gonna have consistent minutes this year
right.
with the Lakers. I think LeBron, he just had to get Bronny, he was saying, I just want to hear
Mhm.
my name called. LeBron delivered that
Yeah,
because he knew and Clutch knew he probably didn't have a good chance of getting his name
mhm.
called. Because he went through the cardiac arrest stuff,
Right.
and that was tough bouncing back
Yeah,
first year as a college player to build the draft stock after that happened. So
yeah,
especially when you're coming off that and you try to get a rhythm. So
yeah. And like
I
I
think
said,
LeBron just
it's
delivered
less
on
of,
that.
yeah, and I agree with you. I think any reasonable person knows that he's not there yet. He's going to need time to grow. But you know what happens when LeBron James is involved. And so that's why I said, like, he's going to get treated like he's a top 5 pick when he shouldn't. But because of
Mm-hmm.
who his daddy is, because of the whole dynamic, they're going to criticize him like that. And, like, that's
Mm-hmm.
not, in my opinion, that's not fair to Bronny because it was already enough pressure coming in.
Yeah, summer
But
league gonna be real crazy.
it's going to be fun. I
Summer
mean,
league,
and
they go
then,
as soon as Brady go over 6. He trash.
and, and
They're
what
gonna
we,
be
and
going
here's the thing,
crazy.
but we don't realize about Summer League, like, we think about our first round picks and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
majority of these rosters are guys that's trying to get a shot, whether it's on an NBA team
Overseas,
or
yeah.
overseas. So
D-League.
it ain't no, we just playing
Right.
off, or even people on the Lakers squad. Like, they not just gonna be like, well, yeah, that's LeBron's son, let's give him the ball. It's like, nah, like, I'm gonna check
But
my shots too.
right, they don't
So,
they don't have to do that because his roster spot is solidified.
yeah.
He's just going out. He's going to be signed no matter what he does in the summer league. He's going to have a roster spot.
Yeah,
So
but I want him to play well. I want him to play well. Like, I ain't saying he got to be like a
mhm,
star, but just
mhm.
play well. Like, if
A decent role player,
average pick,
a decent 55th pick.
right, a
Even though
decent
55th picks
55th
don't
pick.
make rosters,
Right.
He
Like,
could be a
oh, like
good
he
14th
hitting
player on the
from
bench.
three. He's spacing the floor. Like he playing perimeter defense good, kind of being aggressive. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna analyze him like I would analyze any second round pick, and
Uh,
seeing if they have some tangible things that like, if I put them around star players,
mhm.
could this help win ball games? So
Do,
that's the way I'm gonna
I
look at
got a
it.
question for you. Do we get a LeBron, Bronny James alley hoop this year?
In the preseason, yeah.
Preseason?
Yeah.
Do
I
we
don't know if
do
it's gonna
we
happen
do
in the
we
regular season.
do we just get a fast break between them off the backboard or something? That's,
Yeah, like I
that'll
think
be
it'll
like,
happen in the preseason. I
bro,
think
that'll
like
be
it'll be
gold.
I think it's gonna be
Like
one
in
of
a real
those.
game though. I'm saying not like preseason because preseason, everybody will go out. They might throw them in there. They might be, oh yeah, just let them get it, something like that. But in a real game, when
Yeah.
like it matter, they have like probably got a couple injuries. Brian to get in clutch time. Him and
Yeah.
LeBron
I
let him do
think
it. LeBron
I
swinging
think
to him
it'll
for
have
the
to
game winner. That'll be
yeah, I think
gold.
it'll have to be like a probably 2 or 3 significant injuries at the guard spot for
Right?
that to
Yeah,
happen. But it'll
that'll
be
have to
cool,
be it.
man. Like I said, we've never really seen this in the NBA before. We've seen it with baseball,
That's
with the
crazy.
Griffeys, but it's gonna be cool, man. And not to get off of Brian, I know we talked about our winners, but who do you think were some losers in this year's draft?
The losers. I'm trying to think of some teams who I think disappointed. Who I wouldn't necessarily say they're losers, but I didn't like the Detroit pick at they were number 5, Ryan Holler.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
like that pick. I think they reached on
I didn't
him.
like it either.
I didn't think they need him. He's 2-3.
Yeah.
He's a shoot guard small.
What they
They
have.
have that's exactly what my point. What I was about to say. They have Jaden Ivey. They have Cade Cunningham. They don't need that at 5. I thought they could have went. I thought they could have went more with a consistent big outside
Yeah.
because they don't have no big outside of James,
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Duran. Jalen Duran.
Jalen Duran, yeah.
They don't
I thought
have
they were
nothing
gonna
outside
go.
of that.
I thought they were gonna go either Matas Buzelis
Mm-hmm.
or trying to think of the other big. Like I thought they might go
Clinging,
clean. I thought they
clinging.
might go clean. Yeah, like if he
When
was
you're
there,
that bad, I think you should go best player available.
I agree. I
Like,
agree.
what's going? Ain't no fit. Go get the best player you can get. Like because you just fired a coach, 70 million. They lose at a draft. They lose at an offseason so far for me.
Yeah.
They just like you can't do that. You got to get the best player when you that bad. It's like in the NFL when you got a bunch of holes, grab the best player
Yeah.
and you just keep going from that. So I didn't like that pick. Like I said before the draft, though, I'm not familiar with most of the players. I'm hearing a
Mhm.
lot of people say this not like the draft of stars, even though a star
Yeah.
will come from the draft. It's just bound to
Yeah.
happen. But they say this is more like glorified role players. But I just didn't like that pick. I thought it was a block pick.
Yeah.
I thought they had better players on the board from my knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like Detroit pick. And they need to find out what's going on because I don't know if you see James Borrego removed his name from the head
I
coach
did.
search.
I
So
did.
they still don't have a head coach. They're the
They
only
don't.
team left without a head coach.
Yeah. And
So
you
and they
know,
got a new GM from the
New
Pelicans.
Orleans, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think they
so
really wanted Borrego. I think all signs pointed they wanted him. And I
yeah, they
think,
was working out some kicks, I believe. And Borrego probably said, we need this, this, and that. And they
yeah,
probably like, we can't meet you there. And which is weird because they already have chemistry from the
right.
front office with New Orleans. So I don't know why they couldn't get it done. But James Borrego probably like, hey, I don't want to deal with this team this year either.
Yeah,
So
right. Hey man, look, hire Stan Cassell. Let him get some of these young guards up to speed since that's all y'all want to draft. But
man. Yeah,
but
who was your loser though, bro?
for me, man, it was the Knicks. And
Okay.
I think when we kind of talked about like who we thought might win the draft. I was saying, hey, it
Mm-hmm.
might be one of these contending teams. And I mentioned the Timberwolves and mentioned the
Mm-hmm.
Knicks. And I felt like the Knicks drafted as if they had won the championship already. Like, yeah, it's great you got Mikal Bridges. Yeah, you made it almost to the Eastern Conference Finals with
Okay.
the significant injuries you had. But I don't think you waste picks. You had 2 first-round picks this year. I think they had
24,
2 or
25.
3 second round picks in this draft,
Mhm.
and they traded 4 of them.
Brother.
So, or
You
traded
know
3 of the
why
4
though?
picks they had.
They can't afford them, Trey. You can't
Right,
draft
but
because they're gonna kind of get. They try to side. They side OG.
yeah,
They're trying their hardest to sign Isaiah Hartenstein
right,
back, and
yeah,
adding one rookie or two rookies. That's $4 million.
yeah.
That's five up, and they push it up against that apron, so they can't.
And
They
hey,
gotta push back.
I'm cool with you trading 3 of the 4, but it was
Mm-hmm.
what you used the pick you used on, and they
Mm-hmm.
used it on. I think it's Pacome Dadier, who's a wing.
Mm-hmm.
Raw, probably not ready. Probably the reason why I didn't like the pick is you drafted what you already have. You
Mm-hmm.
have slashing wings in Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart and OG.
OG
Why
Dante
draft another guy? Like
DiVincenzo.
I thought, like let's say they do keep Hartenstein, and somehow they still are able to keep at least
Mitchell.
Mitchell for this next year because I think he has 2 years left on his deal. You don't have any spacing at the big position. I thought
Mm-hmm.
this was a perfect position at 25 to draft the Kyle Filipowski,
Mm-hmm.
where a guy that's big, he can probably play in small ball lineups, play that
Mm-hmm.
center position. He showed an ability to protect the rim, not to bet. Like I wouldn't bet my life on him protecting the rim, especially at this level, because he's not the most athletic. But when you talk about, again, you got guys who are mostly slashers, even a guy like Julius Randle has improved from the 3-point line, but he's better
Definitely.
for you
He shoots
inside
a
the
lot of
paint.
them too. You can't
Jalen
tell Julie.
Brunson Jalen Brunson is better for you as a driver and a mid-range artist. So being
Right.
able to put guys around them that can space the floor, and I think having that at the big position opens up so much for them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, when you're kind of limited offensively when Hartenstein and Mitchell are in the game. And I just thought they could have used if you're gonna use a pick, use it on somebody that I think could help. Like you said,
Uh,
Minnesota use it on guys that if not this year, they'll definitely be able to help next year.
I,
And
I, you go ahead, finish.
no, and I'm just saying, in my mind, when you're a contending team, but you're not there yet, you have to
Mm-hmm.
keep these things in mind, and you just can't waste picks, especially when you just traded 5 away. It's not like you have a bunch left. So
Mm-hmm.
utilize them wisely. You're right about maybe some of the other trades and making sure they stay under that second apron with some of the guys they're trying to retain. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, don't just draft guys to draft. Because I think like I said, you could have got a guy like Kyle Filipowski who could help, especially with some injuries that happen to your bigs. You
Right.
come in as a rookie, help space that floor, make life easier for the skill sets of your best players. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the thing. I felt like Minnesota got guys that made life easier for Anthony Edwards and Carl Anthony Towns.
Mm. One thing I said about that with the Knicks, you wanted to draft more of a stretch big. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if that fits into Tibbs'
Oh no, it
DNA.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, so that's more of a like Tim wants those wigs. He wants those body on the wigs so they can play 40 plus minutes a night. And getting a big that stretch the floor, I don't think it's a good skill set to have, but I don't think either way, I don't think any guy they would have drafted will be getting meaningful minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because even when those guys got hurt, Tibbs went to 6 guys. He had to be forced to play Alec Burke.
Like
Like,
Alec Burke,
and he's
Precious
decent.
Achiuwa, like
Yes, and those guys are decent. They can Alec Burke can contribute to a team. Precious Achiuwa
mm-hmm.
can attribute a good 10 minutes to a team as a backup, as a second or third string guy. But they have Deuce McBride behind Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Brunson. They have their ways. David Chisel, Hart, Mikal, and OG, Randall, Isaiah, and Mitchell. So that's about 9 to 10 guys I just named that's probably going to get consistent minutes.
Yeah.
So if they retain Hartenstein, but I wouldn't mind them drafting a big to go behind just in case Hartenstein is gone because
Right.
it's a good possibility he might be gone. So,
That's true.
but we're gonna move on to some other guys. We got some guys who made some big money today, man. You quickly landed $175 million contract max with the Toronto Raptors. I didn't like the deal. I thought it was an
Really?
overpay. I thought it was an overpay for Emmanuel quickly, but obviously they paid him more potential. So, what was your thoughts on this? Because I don't know where the Raptors are going.
Yeah, well, I think the Raptors are in a position now where they're starting to really kind of get a feel for their team and where they're
Mm-hmm.
wanting to go. I like the deal one because I think he would have gotten. So he was a six man of the year candidate. Probably should have won last year
Mm-hmm.
when they gave it to Malcolm Brogdon. So he's shown the ability to be one of the better players in this league, and now kind of being put in a starting role with the Raptors. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're saying, hey, this guy was already good as a six man. We're projecting him with the minutes of a starter, the usage rate of a starter to kind of be one of the top players in our conference and on our
Mm-hmm.
team. And he's still good in the sense of, Scotty Barnes is still kind of their de facto point guard in the way they play him.
And
So
what Scotty just
Emmanuel
got?
quickly can still play off ball.
Scotty just got 270.
Yes.
So they got almost 400 million, 400 something $1 million,
And two players.
500, and two players who never made an All-Star game.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
Scotty is going to make an All-Star game. Maybe Emmanuel quickly might make an All-Star game because he's a 20-point scorer, and they don't have too much at the guard position outside of him.
Right.
But
And I think this might be another year where the Raptors are like they kind of were on the cusp of getting to the playoffs. If I were them, I would say, hey, let's just let the young guys ball out, see what happens. Like if we can make it to the playoffs, great. But if it's looking like we about to be where we've always been, kind of shut it down a little bit, pick
I don't see
probably one
why
of
it
the better
wouldn't be
players
that.
in this upcoming draft, and then
Mhm.
now we can really kind of get to where you want to go.
Okay. Another move the Raptors made as well. They picked up Bruce Brown team option 23 million,
Mhm.
and this more than likely is going to be involved in a trade that they use. They might bring back some assets. So,
Yeah.
what do you think is the plans for Bruce Brown with the Raptors?
I mean, this signals trade to me, especially that they picked it up. Like, I don't think they see him as a part of their future. And they kind of feel like, hey, we traded for him and we know we're
Mhm.
going to part ways with him. So let's try to make sure we get something in return. I think there'll be some teams. I think the Denver Nuggets, who are probably getting ready to pay Jamal Murray a bunch of money, they'll try to figure out if they can
Yep,
bring him back. I think the
they ain't gonna be
Clippers,
able
who
to
might
get
be
there.
losing to Paul George, might be looking at it. Philly could be looking at him. So there's going to be a lot of contending teams. Uh, maybe the Bucks take a run at him. Who knows? But I think there might be some contending teams that would love to have a Bruce Brown on their squad. He took the money last year with Indiana, but I think he quickly found out like that wasn't the best fit for him, especially with how much I think
Indiana
Tyrese
quickly found that
Halliburton.
out.
But like Tyrese Halliburton and TJ McConnell, those are your lead guards.
Mhm.
And if Bruce Brown doesn't have the ball in his hands or is even a secondary playmaker, he's not that much of a 3-point threat to, make you pay for it. So I
Yeah,
felt like he just from a system fit, he wasn't right for the Pacers, but they offered a lot of money. And he took the money. I mean,
yeah, and he
that's
shot
what I think.
31% from three last year. The
Mm-hmm.
year with Denver, he shot 36, which is a big improvement. Well, a big difference.
Yeah,
5% in the NBA
it's huge.
from the season. That's a big difference. So he has to get back to being that impact player that he was with Denver,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the move. One thing I would say is I don't know if some of the teams you mentioned are going to be able to trade for them with their cap situation because you know
Mm-hmm.
these CBA rules. So we'll have to see if they're eligible to trade for something like him without giving up anything valuable because he has a big deal and they're going to have to match that salary. And most of those teams is going to be their impact. But you mentioned something as well that I didn't have on our list,
Mm-hmm.
but we could get to it after we get to Chris Paul moving back their guaranteed date
Yeah.
or his $30 million. For you guys who don't know, Chris Paul has a $30 million non-guaranteed contract right now, and the
Mm-hmm.
Warriors are trying to find trade partners to deal him away and have them make the decision to guarantee or not guarantee his contract. There's been reports that he's interested in him and the Lakers have mutual interest, the Clippers as well. It'll be long overdue with the Lakers.
Yeah.
He already paid for the Clippers, but do you think the Warriors find a deal for Chris Paul?
Yeah, I
Or
think they do. I
okay.
think they do. In my mind, my first thoughts was definitely like it might have something to do with Paul George coming, and I still
Hmm.
think it does, but I don't think it necessarily means that Chris Paul goes to the Clippers. I do think he might very well be a Laker next year. Um, I don't see, but like if he somehow got with the Clippers, like the Clippers aren't going to release him because they got more of a petty rivalry with the Lakers. So it's going to be if the Lakers want him, you're going to have to part with some draft picks or something like that.
Hmm.
But I could see him going to the Lakers, them saying we're not going to guarantee the 30 million, but we'll restructure somehow, and then
Right.
that'll
He's gonna
allow
have
them
a
to get
Chris
some other
Paul.
folks too.
He's gonna be on a minimum if he's playing for the Lakers next year.
Yeah, I think so too.
If he's playing for the Lakers, he's gonna be on the minimum. Is he playing for any contending team? He gonna be on the minimum.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be.
Hmm.
And I don't think he has like this is he's too late in his career to pull like yeah, you can trade me to OKC. I'll play with them for a year. Like I
Yeah,
don't
and he
think
already
he
played with
has
them.
that. Yeah. So what I mean by that is like
A
like he
team who
can't go
about
to
to
a
win.
rebuilding team
Uh
and be
huh.
like, yeah, I can sit with them for a year. Like, nah, like it's gonna have to be kind of now or never to get to somebody who's trying to fight for a championship this year.
Hmm. It's pretty. It's pretty crazy, man. We said our stars who we grew up watching exited, bro. They getting out of the lead. Curry 36, Chris Paul what 38. We got Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook. We just had reports that he might not return to the Clippers next year, so that would be an opening if Chris Paul wants to go back there. Uh, but I want to talk about something you touched on, Paul George to the Warriors. Look like
Mhm.
this smoke is about to become a little bit of fire because he wants to stay in California. Woj just reported today the Clippers are not giving him a max, which means they're
No.
not giving him nothing more than Kawhi because
Right.
Kawhi didn't get the max. We talked about this on a couple episodes ago, but he's not getting the contract offer that he wants from the Clippers, which is multiple years. They're not going over 3, I believe.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to go to the East Coast with Philly. The Warriors in California.
Yeah.
They could give him a contract. You talked about this last episode. If they remove Chris Paul, Klay Thompson's off the books, they can offer him a contract. You think where you leading on this? Clippers or
Oh,
Warriors? Where you think Paul
oh
George
man, the
will
house is
fall at?
burning. Like we talked about it being smoke at first. The house on fire now,
Yes.
and I
We
just think
free
it's
agency in what 2 days?
few
Sunday
days. It's a few
or
days. Yeah,
tomorrow?
then you can start talking to people pretty soon, and
Yeah. So
I think
yeah,
they
this like a
announced it on the trip.
moratorium right here. So
So it's going to happen because
uh-huh.
I don't think he's going to opt out of his $48 million deal,
He gonna
but I
opt in
also
and
don't
get
think he's
traded.
returning to the Clippers. So I think he has till tomorrow to announce what he wants to do. And so I
Mhm.
feel like the threat is going to be either I opt out and go to them anyway and you get nothing, or you can maybe get a Jonathan Kaminga, a Moses Moody, and some picks for
They're
me.
not giving up
Anyway.
Jonathan
They're gonna have
Kaminga.
to give up one or the other. So
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
which
not gonna be
one, but it's gonna
Kaminga.
be one. Yeah, it's gonna
Especially
be
if
one or
Paul
the other.
George is opted in. He's doing them a favor if he's opted in. But also he has to opt in if he wants to get traded to the Warriors because they can't just sign him
Mhm.
outright, I believe. But he will be doing the Clippers a favor, getting them some assets back, but they won't be getting. It makes no sense to give up Kaminga if I'm the Warriors because Kaminga is trending to be a better player than Paul George.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that. You already gave away Jordan Poole. You don't want to do that again.
Right.
But at some point, you gotta have the future. So
Right. You gotta hit on somebody, Warriors. Y'all gave with James Wiseman, y'all gave with Jordan Poole. Um it looked like y'all got a real good player in Kaminga and Moses Moody. He's pretty decent too as a role player.
mhm.
Uh but one more thing, another guy, D'Angelo Russell, hasn't opted in into his contract for the Lakers. He has to tomorrow as well. Last month, as he was playing throughout the second half of the season as well, he was playing very well. A lot of people was like he's going to opt out, but looking like the market is not going to be too friendly to him. The
Mhm.
only people with money, Spurs, Orlando. I don't know if they're interested in D'Lo. So Brian Windhorst said reported he's in between, but he thinks D'Lo might opt in into his $18.7 million contract. Do you
Mhm.
think he should or it's a free agency?
I think he should opt out. I think
Okay.
unless his agents have secured a trade partner that said you opt in, we'll extend you and give you X amount, they're comfortable with that. I don't know if those conversations are happening. So, assuming that those conversations aren't happening, I say opt out. You go get some money from the Orlando Magic, who aren't in a position where they have to pay a lot of players yet,
Mm-hmm.
and you could just make an easy, check for the next 2 or 3 years. They're in desperate need of a true point guard. They don't really have that right now. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we saw that come to light in the playoffs. And he's one of those guys when the expectations are low, he rises up. But when they get high or to level, then he goes back down. And so maybe
Mm-hmm.
going to a team like Orlando Magic, feeling wanted, maybe he can kind of revive himself like he did when he was traded from LA to Brooklyn, and he was
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of revive himself, and make himself a player that we thought could really grow into something. So I could see that, but again, I don't know who's going to pay him over 18 a year at that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a gamble of
Mm-hmm.
what are the options out there for you. If there aren't any options, you always take the guaranteed money. So
Right.
take the money and let the
So
Lakers figure it out.
I kind of agree. I think he should opt in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and kind of sign a similar deal to what he signed last year, a 2-year deal, with the Lakers, probably around the
Mm-hmm.
same numbers, or around like 2 years, 35 million, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think Orlando's gonna give more than 18 million, like you said. And I don't think they're gonna give him about the years that he wants. They're not trying to commit long years with that young team they have. And I don't know if D'Lo wants to go to Orlando, and he might be the guy that gets the blame. They just got to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. Um, and I wouldn't even say a long time because they was in the playoffs a couple years ago. But
Yeah, it was a
um,
while.
huh?
It was about 4 years. I think the bubble,
Yeah,
the last
yeah,
time they made it.
the bubble. Yeah, I think lost 4-1 to the Bucks. But yeah, they got a young core going on. They got Wagner, Ben Carroll, Wendell Carter. They got Gary Harris, and I think he's a free agent. But if he goes there and they suddenly go on a down slope, a lot of people, what's the difference this
Yeah,
year? Well,
right.
they got D'Lo. He was supposed to be the guy to come in and orchestrate the offense, settle everybody down. And I don't know if he wants that with the Lakers. If he opts in, he know there's going to be trade rumors, but the Lakers probably don't have better options right now. If he leaves for nothing. They can't get nothing for him. The cap
Mhm.
room, they're not going to get any money in their cap room if he just leave. He just walks. And like you said, I don't think nobody has 19 million more waiting for D'Lo unless it's a
Mhm.
2-year, $35 million deal. Something
Right.
like 2-year, $30 million deal. It's less money each year, but it's more overall. So we'll see how that goes for D'Lo. But 18 people in here, brother. We're moving.
Nice.
We're getting it up. Y'all repost, like for us. Um, you got oh yeah. One more thing for the draft. Who's gonna be this year GG Jackson? This what Trey wanted to ask y'all. If y'all can comment on it, drop some anything. But who do you think is gonna be this year GG Jackson
Yeah.
from the second round?
Yeah. What we mean by that is, a second round pick that comes in, and just kind of proves himself throughout the year and gets a shot to not be in the rotation
And
and
takes
make some
advantage of
headway.
it.
So, uh, kind of in that mind, I mentioned him earlier. I think Harrison Ingram could be that guy for the
Mhm.
San Antonio Spurs, especially if we're talking about, well, let's say that Trey Young trade goes through. Well, Keldon Johnson is more than likely the guy that's in that trade package. And I view Harrison Ingram as kind of a Keldon Johnson coming in with better handles and better
Okay.
playmaking ability. So
Okay.
I think he'd be really good. I think he might have his opportunities, just his work ethic, playing for Stanford, which is a really good program, and then, playing for North Carolina and, having that program be really good this year. So he showed me some things. I'm a Duke fan, so me giving him any
Oh
type of
Lord.
credit as a Tar Heel is saying something, bro. But
Oh
he shot
Lord.
43% from the field last year, 39% from three, which obviously stands out to me. And like I said, I felt like he showed a lot on the defensive side of the ball.
Mhm.
Always kind of being in passing lanes, always crashing the boards, getting the offense going. And so he's a guy that can play off of other guys. And
Okay.
and I can see him really kind of getting some minutes, especially if there's not a Keldon Johnson there because we're going to need somebody to fill that void if Keldon's not there. Like, does he always like bring it offensively and like scoring a bunch of points? No, but like he's always been that energy guy for the Spurs since he's been in the league, kind of doing the little things, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And so you're going to miss that. Like, I think anybody would be crazy not to think that, oh, you're not going to miss Keldon Johnson, even though you do get a Trae Young potentially in return. And so
Mm-hmm.
having a young guy like Harrison Ingram come in, maybe fill that void. I think he's somebody that can maybe kind of step up to that. And by the end of the year, we're saying, the Spurs should really kind of get this kid in the rotation a little bit more. And he's a big part, maybe, of what the 2025 at that point San Antonio Spurs are looking like.
Y'all know he was gonna go with the Spurs, so
They look he's
when y'all start watching this pod, just know he's gonna be Spurs heavy on every day. So my GG Jackson, I don't think he'll have as big of an impact as GG because I don't think he's gonna get the opportunity. The Memphis got real hurt last year. They were just, oh my God, they was dropping like bowling pins last year. The whole team. I think they had like 13 players on the injury report by the time like the last couple weeks of the season. But I'm gonna go with your guy. I can't really pronounce his name, Filibowski. I'm gonna go with him. At Utah. I think he can fill a role over there. They have Larry Marketing and Walker Kessler. And I don't know if they're not coming to my head too much of a dominant backup behind those guys because Larry
John
really,
Collins maybe, but that's about it.
And Larry really plays small forward over there, and John Collins runs the power forward. So I think he can have some opportunity over there, playing over there, because Utah is a team who's willing to trade guys, and I believe John Collins might be on the move again, even though they just traded for him, because I think that's a little bit too clunky with those three in the front court: Larry, John Collins, and Walker Kessler. So I think Filibowski is going to have some opportunity to make some plays and show Danny Ainge that he can play on the NBA level, and put some consistent minutes on film for them. So I'm gonna go with him as a partial GG Jackson because I don't think
that's a good pick though, especially because Kessler he's on the trading block too, so that's a good pick. That's a good option.
Okay, y'all, that's our first show, man. First live show. We appreciate y'all coming in, man. We got 21 people in here. We appreciate all the love. Like we said, y'all go to the YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe. It's the Bayou Ballers podcast. Y'all let us know anything that y'all want us to touch on. We do touch on I know we got some New Orleans people in here. We touch on our Saints, and we do our Pelicans thing as the facts segment. We don't have no Saints topics today, but we will be touching on them because y'all loved our schedule breakdown. That's our most viewed episode. So we're gonna have to have more NOLA content out there. You got any last words for the people, Trey?
Look, man, like I said before the draft, now that the draft picks are here, not everybody's going to be a bust. Not everybody's going to be the next LeBron or MJ. But just shout out to those young men for having the opportunity to play and make their dreams come true. And summer league's right around the corner. So I'm looking forward
California
to
Classic next week.
I'm looking forward to the draft picks that my team got, but also looking to see some other guys around the league. Even like I mentioned, guys that are just hungry for an opportunity, whether that be in the NBA or overseas, seeing how they bring it. Like, it's always interesting. You find somebody that's like been a 5-year vet over in Italy, and they just came to summer league,
right?
And you wonder why they whooping on all these teenagers. Then you figure out they like a 28-year-old vet that been playing since they was 16.
Like Pablo Prigioni was a 31-year-old rookie.
So really looking forward to that, man, and appreciate y'all tuning into our first live episode. We might have to do this more consistently.
We definitely got to do this more. If y'all gonna show love like this, we definitely got to give it to y'all, man.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all, man. We're gonna keep on pushing our content. Always feel free to comment what y'all want to hear about. Like I said, there's a lot of things happening in sports right now. So if we miss it and you catch it, you can drop it in the chat while we going, and we'll still talk about it. That's just kind of how much we love this sports talking thing. So continue to show us love. We appreciate it.
Exactly. We posting episodes every Wednesday, and we also, when we do our second episodes, they usually be on Fridays. So yeah, we're gonna be pushing out content as NBA free agency comes. NFL training camp, all the news about NFL. The big boys of the sports, American sports. So we very excited, y'all. We go, as you said, we gonna keep adding more segments and making the show more fun. Um, Start having guests on here, all type of things. So y'all keep supporting, and we out. Bye, you ballers.
Peace.